Shalom, this is day 47 of Israel's war against Palestinian terrorists in Gaza. It is November 22nd at 6 p.m. here in Israel, 11 a.m. on the eastern coast of the United States. Let's get to the hostage deal, which is for sure the biggest news coming out of this war in a long time. So the Israelis and Hamas have come to an agreement on hostages. The deal was brokered by Qatar and the United States. Qatar is a Muslim country, Arab country in Muslim and Arab country in the Persian Gulf and the Arabian Gulf, inside of near Saudi Arabia. It is a very wealthy country. It sponsors Hamas, but also has a warm relationship with the United States. It is a evil country because it sponsors Hamas. It has dealt both with Israel, cutting deals with Israel in the past in terms of sending money into Gaza to Hamas under Israel's acceptance and Israel's okay. And it also houses an American military base. So it's kind of a strange country, but it has Hamas's ear because it pays for Hamas, and Hamas will listen to its directives. So the deal was brokered between Israel and the United States on the one side, the United States acting as Israel's representative to Qatar, and Qatar acting as the mouthpiece and representative of Hamas, and going back and forth. Hamas's leaders actually live in luxury in Qatar. Okay, the deal is that so the news is reporting 50, but I'm pretty sure it's 53 women and children, Israeli hostages that were taken on Simchat Torah on October 7th will be released over the course of 4 days in different batches. They will be released, and the Israelis will have to cease firing against Hamas, stopping fighting. Hamas is also responsible not to fire back against Israel. At the same time, there will be 150 prisoners, not hostages, prisoners who were convicted of security crimes in Israel and are sitting in Israeli jails. They will be women and underage men who are sitting in jails convicted of crimes, will be released once the hostages are released. So Israel takes the first step by cease firing. This starts at 10 a.m. Thursday. Then Hamas, over the course of 4 days, releases up to 53 hostages. After they've released the 53 hostages, every single day, another batch of hostages for 4 days. Then Israel releases 150 Palestinian Hamas-associated terrorists who are convicted of terrorism and security crimes, and they will be released. Now, something that's very important to note is that the media is reporting that these prisoners that are going to be released, these inmates who have been convicted of security crimes in Israel, are not murderers. And that is true. None of the people that made the list, there was a list of 300 prisoners, Palestinian prisoners that Israel is holding in jails for security crimes. None of them have been convicted of murder. Many of them have been convicted of attempted murder. They have stabbed people. So it's very important to recognize that these are not any less criminals than people that didn't make the list. These are people who failed at murdering Jews. These are not people convicted of small, petty crimes like pickpocketing. These are attempted murderers who would have become murderers if it wasn't for God's grace in stopping them from murdering somebody, or their own ineptitude and not being able to even murder somebody properly. These are horrible, horrific people. These are people that should never be walking the streets. And their only chance at walking the streets now is because Hamas and other Palestinian terrorists kidnapped Israelis, giving them leverage over us and the ability to demand of us to let these people go. These people, some of them do not live in faraway places where we'll never see them again. They live, many, in Jerusalem itself, which means that if they are freed on Monday morning, they will return to Jerusalem and be there Monday afternoon. They will be celebrated as heroes. their honor and celebration will encourage other people to commit acts of terror. These people will most probably commit acts of terror themselves, putting us here in Israel at harm. We are putting 150 attempted murderers or other people that participated in crimes back on the streets. Nobody should be celebrating the fact that these people are being freed. Neither Arabs, Palestinians should be celebrating, nor should Jews be celebrating this deal. This deal might be necessary, but this is not something to celebrate. We now have to be concerned about 150 experienced terrorists, whether they've actually committed violent acts themselves or merely supported them, being free to do it again. In 2011, Israel freed Gilad Shalit for 1,050. Gilad Shalit was an Israeli soldier who was taken captive by Hamas and held captive for 5 years and was traded for 1,050 terrorists. One of those 1,050 terrorists that were freed is Sinwar, the head of Hamas in Gaza today. The man who ordered this attack was once in Israeli jail and set free in a hostage deal like this. We don't know where these 150 people will end up. In addition, there could be up to 100 Israeli hostages freed in deals that are repeated. There is a condition part of this deal that more deals can be made. 10 hostages every 24-hour ceasefire, plus up to 300 Palestinian convicted terrorists being let go. Anybody that celebrates this deal is misunderstanding the nature of what this deal is all about. That being said, this deal could very well be the best thing for Israel. There's a chance for us to get 50 hostages back safe and alive. There's no way of knowing whether this deal is a good deal or not. The Almagor Terror Victims Association, which is an association of terror victims in Israel, is petitioning the Supreme Court today to stop the deal. They most probably won't be successful because the deal isn't illegal. But for the way they're looking at it is, many of the people who committed acts of terror against their own people are now being set free. My family were victims of a terror attack, and the terrorists that committed the attacks against our family murdered somebody, so there's no chance of them being set free in this deal. But the thought that they could one day be set free is incredibly challenging to victims. We can understand their objection. In addition to the deal, Israel has agreed to limited drone activity. And that is for two reasons. One, Hamas wants to make sure that Israel can't track where the hostages are coming from in order to figure out where the other hostages are being kept. And Hamas wants to move assets around during this ceasefire and not have Israel being able to track it. I cannot believe that Israel wouldn't have other means of surveillance and would agree to go blind for 4 days. Now, if you want to know if this deal is a good deal or not a good deal, I can tell you that the IDF, the Shin Bet, and the Mossad all supported this deal. Only a prophet would be able to know if this was a good deal or not. Only God himself telling a prophet whether this was a good deal or not can know. No amount of experts could definitively tell you it's a good deal or a bad deal. There are reservations, serious reservations, as I've expressed. We don't know for sure what the consequences of this deal will be, and there's no way of knowing. We won't know for years and possibly decades. It's a risk, and in life there are risks, and when it comes to saving lives, there are risks. This is one of them, and we hope that God gives us the protection, the providence to make sure that this deal works out in our favor. Going on to other news, let's start with good news. Hezbollah is also planning on participating in the ceasefire. No idea why. I don't think that Israel's committed to not attacking Hezbollah. I can tell you why Hezbollah is having a tremendous hard time. Yesterday, one of the leaders of Hezbollah in South Lebanon was overheard on a radio. Israel quickly tracked down the radio signal to a car traveling through southern Lebanon. It sent out drones to find the car and another drone to release a missile and killed this Hezbollah leader. Is a direct strike against Iran, because Iran is the one that's giving the commands to this Hezbollah leader and needs this Hezbollah leader to stay alive. He's no longer alive. Israel then attacked other Hezbollah assets and terrorists in the region, and it used a massive gunship called a C-130S, and this plane has massive guns on it, and it flies in a circle around and is able to destroy anything in its path. Anything that it's circling around is a legitimate target, and Hezbollah leaders could not escape it. In addition, Houthis in Yemen fired a cruise missile at Eilat, and an Israeli fighter jet was able to knock it down. The Houthis have not been successful at hitting Israel with a rocket yet, or a missile. Israel has captured the Hamas headquarters of their northern brigades, and this was a huge success. And as well, the IDF has destroyed 400 Hamas tunnels, and the IDF has finally gotten through the blast door in a tunnel under the Shifa hospital. This is the hospital that Israel has been operating in and has identified as a headquarters for Hamas. There was a blast door that was blocking Israel's entrance into the rest of the tunnels. Israel was worried that it was booby-trapped and had to operate very carefully and slowly to get through that door, and Israel has gotten through that door. What lies on the other side will only be days if we ever find out. On bad news, unfortunately, we've lost more soldiers, and 69 soldiers have now died since the start of the ground operation into Gaza. In addition, we've figured out that many of our soldiers are being killed not by Hamas fire, but by friendly fire, meaning other Israeli soldiers have shot and killed their own soldiers. This is commonplace in war, but is still incredibly tragic. So let's continue to pray that our soldiers are safe and secure. Annoying news, there's a rumor, and I want to make sure that I would never bring this up if not for the fact that I want to make sure that everybody understands that this rumor is untrue and is not something that they should be paying attention to. But former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak went on television and for some reason said that Israel participated in the building of the tunnels under Shifa Hospital. He's been discredited as simply making this up. This has never happened. It's not Israel covering itself, but it's saying, oh, no, this never happened. It did happen, and it didn't happen, excuse me, and what did happen was that Ehud Barak made this up. I have no idea why he would do such a thing. Okay, going on. Let's look at questions from yesterday's video. Where in Gaza are the 30 tunnels are they located? The tunnels are underground in Gaza. All the tunnels are an area. The tunnels that have been found are areas that Israel has captured. There's a great video clip going around of Israel hasn't, as we explained in yesterday's video, Israel hasn't immediately destroyed all the tunnels it finds. A lot of times it waits to see what the tunnel's being used for. There's a video clip that went out yesterday. No one's 100% sure of what it's from, but it's of Hamas members coming out of a tunnel and recognizing fairly quickly that they're surrounded by Israeli soldiers and surrendering immediately. I saw that a deal was secured. I know Israel had to have thought this deal through, but does this not put IDF soldiers at risk? Yes, as we've explained, it puts IDF soldiers and civilians at risk. I mean, just imagine Israel is the size of New Jersey. So imagine for a second, if you're living in New Jersey, which many of you might be who are watching this video, imagine being told that 150 attempted murderers were set free and that they've done nothing to earn this, meaning they haven't shown that they're rehabilitated or shown that they won't do this again. In fact, it's not knowing that many of these people are committed to doing this again. And we're releasing 150 attempted murderers who are going to attempt murder again. Israel's releasing 150 terrorists. Does that not mean that for these 50 hostages we are saving, 150 people could chas v'shalom die? A lot more than 150 people could die. Who knows what extent these terrorists can be. I'm hoping that we, as many terrorists in the Gilad Shalit deal, were eliminated by IDF soldiers because of their complicity in terror again. So I'm hoping that these people do just enough terrorism to earn their elimination, but not enough to be successful at hurting anybody. Let's hope. Why does the IDF now have the time and capabilities to look over both ends of the tunnel? What changed? So it's a great question. In yesterday's video, we talked about how the IDF is now being able, instead of destroying a tunnel at one end, it's now waiting, as we just mentioned, and it's able to look at both ends. What's happening is that Israel is more successful and can take its time now at eliminating the other Hamas members. There's not a sense of urgency to eliminating these Hamas members because now it's just a matter of time before Israel wipes them all out. All right, Israel is surrounding these Hamas members, so there's no reason to kill them immediately. We can do this in a way that we gain information and eliminate more people. What does the new hostage deal mean for the conflict going forward? Is international pressure having an effect on the Israeli government? So I don't think this deal was conducted because of international pressure. I think Israel willingly entered this deal. I think that Israel saw this as a good deal and went into it for that reason. I think that Prime Minister Netanyahu is still committed to wiping out Hamas. He realizes that Israel is in a favorable position, and 4 days of fighting isn't going to make that much of a difference one way or the other. So I think that as much as he wants to kill and eliminate Hamas as a threat as quickly as possible, I think that he realizes that in order to secure 50 to now 100 hostages, I think he thought it was worth it. So I don't think that it's international pressure. I think what this does is it allows Hamas to breathe, which is bad, but at the same time allows Israel to have its hostages back, which is a priority of it. So I think that's where. But I don't think this was because of international pressure. Israel felt it had to do this. Okay, that's the end of our video. If you have any questions refer to tomorrow's video, please don't hesitate to put them down below in the comment section. Let's hope for victory. Let's hope for security and safety for the Israeli people and the nation of Israel. Let's hope that all of our hostages all come back safely and securely, quickly. Shalom.